Hello again, everybody. So now that the foundational stuff is done, I'm going to still be covering stuff that's basic in a sense. I just still want to make sure I don't lose anybody, and if somebody is brand new to spirituality, they can kind of start with the stuff that I have already and kind of build something to for themselves in a sense, right? And I'm going to start with like this the next subject after the foundation of perceptions, and still continuing on like the theme now that I'm saying that healing is a must from the wounds that we have are really preventing ourselves from living a fulfilling life, and this also applies to perception, right? So for me, perception is very, very important as far like spirituality goes, because like it's how we see the world. How we see the world and our beliefs are mixed into that. And so like if we have wounds that are our perception is being filtered through wounds, then we're not going to be perceiving things clearly. We're going to have a very negative view on this, right? And I can pretty much be sure that everybody has experienced something in their lives where two similar events happened to two different people, and some people, let's say it was a car accident, and then somebody is totally devastated. They were so unlucky to be in a car accident, right? And then like there is other people that will be like so grateful that they survived the car accident. So you can see how like different people will have different perceptions, right? Somebody will be grateful that they survived, while the other one will be focused on the damage that the car had, and everything, that maybe some injuries. And so the perception on things can greatly vary, and like just in the simple term too, like if we have, let's say somebody wants to help someone, and then depending on the person, some people will be very receptive to help, and they'll just take it as like the person has a good heart and they want to help out. Well, some people are they hate being helped in a sense, right? Because they probably see themselves as like the person that's helping sees them as somebody that needs help. So in a sense, they're not able to take care of things themselves. And for that reason, some people will very much dislike when somebody offers them help, because they're independent people, let's say. And continuing on this, sometimes when something happens, at first we will feel that it is a terrible thing. But years after, we realize that we grew so much from this. And so you can see the perception changed. At first it was this, traumatic event. And then years after, the person is so happy to have experienced that. And that happened to me, when I had my shoulder surgery. It totally devastated me. It was like, very traumatic for me, because I was very attached, let's say, to bodybuilding, and I no longer was able to do that. And for 4 years after my surgery, I was very lost in a sense, right? So for me, when it first happened, the perception of that event was very negative. But now I'm so grateful that it happened, because I grew so much from it, right? And I was mostly hurt by the self-image I had built for myself, the perception of myself, and that I was a strong physical person able to do basically any labor job. And I had put too much emphasis on that label that I was physically strong. And when I no longer had that, I no longer knew, in a sense, who I was and what my worth was. And again, this was very, you can see how it was very traumatic for me. Because of that, I was too attached, right? And we become attached to certain perceptions on life. And these perceptions really hold us back in many ways, right? So like if you believe that you're unworthy, if you believe life is unfair, if you believe there's no good friends out there, if you don't believe you can trust any partner, all these things will be, or you can't trust a business partner, so you'll never get into business, right, with someone. Never get in a relationship because you can't trust people. You'll never seek a friendship because, there's no good friends. And all this stuff really like has a deep impact on us, right? We really prevent ourselves from experiencing life because we're scared to be hurt. We're scared to be just let off on the side of the road, by your lover or whatever it is, right? But then again, like this can be a blessing in disguise. The partner that left us on the side of the road, probably is not a good partner, right? So they did us a favor in a sense by finishing it, so we can eventually pursue something that's going to be more meaningful and deep and fulfilling. And these are like blessing in disguise. Like these things, like at first is so traumatic we can hardly, and we become too attached to the identity, the self-identity that we have created for ourselves. And that is like very, very fragile, because if we lose that, then we no longer know our self-worth, right? And then this like causes major problems as far as self confidence, and being able to see things, that we often become too attached to the self identity that we've created for ourselves. And if we ever lose that, then this creates a whole bunch of suffering on different levels, right? On self-worth, on like your purpose in life, and all this, and it creates really like a big havoc upon like our consciousness and our perception, right? So it's important not to be too attached to, let's say like if you see yourself as, very intelligent, or if you see yourself as somebody rich, or sees your, like very physically fit like I was, right? So it's important to not be too attached to that. We're much more than just like one simple quality that we have. And that's what happens when you lose it, and then you're forced to start looking for other things that you have worked, that you're still worthy because you have other things to offer. And this self-image is very connected to our ego, right? That's why like it is so wounded when it no longer is that. So in my case, when I was no longer physically fit or physically strong, I should say, I totally, my ego melted, right? It didn't know how I had value anymore, because it was so limiting and so narrow, the perception on my self-worth, that it created a whole bunch of suffering, right? And that's what happens, is the ego is attached to the suffering, right? And then like when you experience something like that, then it becomes like attached to the suffering that you had during that time, until that we say that we're not this suffering, right? It is the ego that is suffering. It is not the real you that is suffering at the end. It is just your self-image that is suffering. And also the ego goes and it plays like the two sides, where like it's either like a victim or worthless, or like it's the best, and nobody's as good as I am, or nobody's as rich or powerful or good looking, or just whatever. It doesn't matter what you put after, like I am better than everybody else, right? And that is again the ego, right? Because it either inflates or deflates, right? It is never like real. It is an image, right? Yeah, this is a thing about healing, right? We need to get in a certain vibration where like we are healed, right? And all this shallow stuff doesn't matter at the end. And adjusting our perception so that we go for things that matter, things that are important, but at the same time we need to find out what really is important, right? What is important to you, really important, and not this shallow stuff, right? Not this like, if I get a new car I'll be happy kind of attitude. So I think that's about it for now, and so thank you again for watching. I'll continue again on like just random topics here and there until that basically I'm gonna start releasing the stuff that I really want to release, but it's still important for me that I lay down a good base, right? Good foundation, like I've said. So until next time. Oh, and if you like it, obviously like, comment. If I have any questions, go ahead. And until next time, bye.